Hey everyone, hope your day is all going well. My name is Tanner, the Mind Hacker. I am very lucky and grateful today to have dullblend here on the line. He's another really cool Twitch streamer. He does mostly 2D indie games. This, of course, is Unleash the Hero Within, the gaming podcast where we come on and talk about just gaming, what piques our interest, what got us into gaming, and the games that we're playing. And if you don't know who I am, my name is, of course, Tanner the Mind Hacker. I help gamers overcome depression, their addictions, and create a better life for themselves. And I am very grateful to be on the podcast here with dullblend. He actually raided me, and I was my very first raid the other night, and I was like, "What?" So that was pretty cool. But yeah, he has a really cool stream, so definitely make sure you guys check him out. I'll make sure his links are in the description down below, but you can just find him Twitch .tv/dullblend. Make sure you guys shoot him a follow. And yeah, thanks for coming on. You want to introduce yourself a little bit? And
Well, first I'd like to say thanks for having me.
yeah,
As you said earlier, I'm dullblend. I'm a variety streamer, but I mainly focus on 2D indie games like Terraria, Stardew Valley. Lately I've been getting into Lethal Company. Awesome game. Check that one out. Um, but no, I've been streaming for a while. I'd say about a year and a half now, and I haven't looked back.
awesome. Yeah, I know for a lot of people, getting into streaming or just even coming on a podcast like we were talking about before, right, can be a kind of a nervous thing. So, what got you like what were you on the fence about, and then how did you actually get into that mindset of let's start streaming?
So I was in school for general automotive,
Mm-hmm.
and I've actually been wanting to stream for years now. I want to say actually when I got out of the army in 2015, that was something I had in mind was, I just want to game. And gaming actually kind of helped me uh, get off of alcohol. I used to be an alcoholic. And so I'm now really passionate about gaming. And, nowadays you could make, money off of anything. So I figured, let me try gaming. And around that time, we had guys like Markiplier, PewDiePie. But for some reason, I never like started it. I had a procrastination problem, pretty bad back then. And so I just decided one day I just got to do it. I talked with some friends about it. We all agreed we start doing it around the same time. But something kept happening where they couldn't do it that week, or oh, I'm a little nervous, and so they push it back even
Right.
further. And so eventually, I'm like, screw it. I just got to do it. I just started.
Nice. I love it. Just get out there and do it. I mean, that's really the way to do it, right? Like, just like, all right, I just got to get out of my own head and just do this thing. Like, you could definitely convince yourself out of like podcasts or just streaming, just in general, right? So that's awesome that you were able to do that. And you mentioned like you were in the army. So what branch, or were you in actually? So you were in the army for how long?
I was in the Army for 6 years.
6 years.
I was 11 Bravo, so infantry, and I joined late 2008, got out early 2015.
Well, thanks
I
for
was
serving.
stationed, yeah, I was in Fort Drum, 10th Mountain for my first 3 years. One of those years in Iraq. Last 3 years was First Armored Fort Bliss.
Oh wow.
And but to be honest, I'm glad I'm out.
Yeah.
Like when I got out, I didn't look back.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I feel like I've talked to a lot of people who are in the army, like different military branches, and the majority of them say like, "I'm happy I'm out at this point." So that's I'm not surprised honestly to hear that. So you said you had some alcohol problems, right? Was that? I'm sure. I know I talked to a lot of people in the army too, or like just the military. Like a lot of it came from like the military. They got into like hard into drinking for that. Like, was that during that time, or did it actually you get out of it during the military?
It was during that time. It was actually transitioning from a 10th Mountain to First Armored.
Mm-hmm.
And around that time, I had a girlfriend who broke up with me, even though I moved closer to her. And I also like got kidney stones at that time. And then I remember regretting joining up for 6 years. I should have done 3 years, and I realized I was only halfway through this contract,
Oh no.
and so I just went to alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
hear you.
and not to promote it, but it actually helped at first because
Yeah.
it definitely numbs you. But
Mhm.
yeah, I should have never done that.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I was a big alcohol drinker. I was more like I say weed smoker, but I did a good mix of both, right? And I feel like that's the way it is, right? You use them because they help you at first, but then usually most of the time, eventually it's not. It's holding you back, right? So I think
Yeah.
many people, once they're honest with themselves, kind of realize that it does hold you back on some level. So hey, man, that's awesome. So how long you been clean from or sober?
So let's see. I want to say, I mean, there's been a few hiccups here and
Oh,
there.
you're right.
Like it was mainly liquor that I've been trying to
Mhm.
stay off of. Every now and then I have a beer, and I can have a beer and not have another one.
Right.
I'd say from like, let's see, about 6 years.
Nice. Congrats. That's
Thank
awesome, man. So yeah, that's a big achievement there. So that's really cool. Do you feel like you stopping drinking like the liquor is also part of the reason like you got like the courage to come and start streaming as well?
you. I'd say yes and no. In the
Yeah.
beginning of the drinking, I would say no because it was liquid courage.
Yeah.
At the same time, like you said, eventually, like slowly over time, you realize, oh, this is hurting me more than helping.
Mhm.
And so definitely the answer is yes. Like
Yeah.
I feel like if I never got off of, liquor, I wouldn't be streaming right now.
Hmm.
So definitely yes.
Yeah. I feel like when I look back, I like, oh yeah, the liquid courage, but then I start to think about, well, actually, I have a lot more confidence now that I don't drink. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah. So gaming then, I'm interested. When was like the first time you ever started gaming?
So I've been gaming since I was really young. I remember when everyone got the PS2, I still had the Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
And I wasn't even playing Super Nintendo games on it. We had it's the Super Mario All-Stars collection
Okay.
of original Nintendo games.
Wow.
And so I was playing Super Mario Bros. 3,
Oh yeah.
you know. And my mom would still play Super Mario Brothers, the original.
Mhm.
And so I kind of grew up on that. But I was never like a true gamer growing up. Like I never kept up with the latest console or game or whatever. But actually like when I really started hardcore gaming, summer 2014. Because that's actually when I started trying to get off of alcohol.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I've been gaming since then.
Okay. Nice. I mean, I mean, even if you're not sticking up with the most recent consoles, I can still consider you a gamer. I'd say, yeah, because Super Mario Brothers 3, that game was actually the first game I ever played as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Dang.
that's a classic game. I remember like watching my big brother play that game, and I'm pretty sure like he handed me like a controller that was not plugged in. And it's like, yeah, here, take this. And I thought I was playing, all having fun, and I wasn't doing anything. But I mean, he was a good brother. He still let me play that game. But that game was a fun game. Did
It
you
was
did you ever
awesome.
beat it?
Oh, I have I did a stream of it
Mhm.
twice where I beat it fully, like went through all the
Okay.
worlds. And there's another one where I attempted a speed run. Obviously didn't come close, but I still sped run it by, using the whistles,
Right.
going to like world 7 and 8. Yeah, I've beaten it multiple times.
As a kid, did you ever beat it? I
I
don't think
think
I
a
did.
few
Oh,
times,
you
maybe
did?
two or
Okay.
three, but like I needed help.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I can't remember what world I got to, but we would always like lose like towards the end of it. And then like it was just like I feel like the games back then were so much different, right? Like you lose, you have to start all the way over again and do it all again, right? Nowadays you get
Yeah.
like checkpoints and stuff so you can take them to the next level. So that's funny. Okay, so then yeah, you played mostly Super Nintendo, but really just like the old school NES games for the majority of the time. And then once you got out of the military, or once you got to that point where you stopped drinking, you started to pick up like computer games. Is that what you went into, or
Yes. So PC games, specifically on Steam.
okay?
So like Terraria
Yeah,
actually was one. Hammerwatch, Gary's Mod was another one. Age of Empires 2, which most of those I still play today.
yeah,
And then from there, it's just slowly branched out and me trying like other games. And now there's just so many games that I
yeah.
play now. I'd say the only genre of games I probably don't play are sports games.
Okay,
So,
nice. Yeah, I was looking at some of your past games, like Stardew Valley. It seems like you played a decent amount. Terraria. You played a little bit of Fortnite as well. So, which game do you think is like right now, like your number one favorite game at the moment? Obviously, that's going to change, but
Lethal Company.
yeah.
That one, I played a stream with a good friend of mine a few
Uh-huh.
days ago, and man, there's just so many just scary moments, but hilarious moments, funny moments. And yeah, like if you're trying to look for a game to play and stream, definitely go for that game.
Yeah, I saw actually. I was watching some of your clips for that game, and there was one where it's like you were behind your friend. He jumped across like the little like platform and tried to get up, and then you got eaten by a monster. He's like, "Wait,
Yeah.
don't. Where are you? Where are you?"
Yeah.
I was laughing. I was like, "That's pretty funny." Yeah, I've been seeing a
Yeah.
lot of memes for that one. That's a cool game for sure. I actually haven't played it yet, but I've definitely thought about trying to hop on that bandwagon. So, when did you start playing Lethal Company? Was it just like a couple months ago,
Oh,
or
it was a few days
oh,
ago.
just a
That
few days
stream
ago?
actually was the
Okay.
first one. Yeah.
So you plan
Um,
more streams in the future coming soon.
oh yeah, we plan to like mod it, get more people on with us because right now it's just me and if I can plug him in, Ignis Aurora.
Yeah, of course.
But we have like one or two other people who are looking at, getting in because it's built actually for four people.
Okay.
That's where you have like the ultimate, gameplay. And so, yeah, we plan to do a lot more streams in the future. Um, yeah, I was actually planning to play it like a month or two ago when it came out, but again, the whole procrastination thing. But
Yeah.
I have like uh an excuse this time. I've been busy with so much other stuff.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, more streams coming.
Nice. So, for anyone who doesn't know what the game is, can you explain it a little bit, like what the idea behind the
Uh
game is?
yeah, so the guy who made Roblox
Okay.
is actually the guy who made this game. And imagine Phasmophobia, but the sci-fi version. So pretty much you are a guy who works for a company. The company is actually called The Company. And you are shipped to different moons. You actually get to choose, between like I think five or six different moons. There's another three you can choose, but they cost money. And you simply go into buildings, like old abandoned buildings, and salvage just items, scrap metal, stuff like that. Where the game gets interesting, though, is there's hazards along the way. Most of the hazards are in the buildings, and it's usually in the form of monsters. But you have some monsters outside the buildings as well. And of course, there's also a timer. If you don't get back in time, the ship leaves without you. Every iteration is 3 days. At the end of the third day, you have to sell. You have to go back to the company area and sell your products. And yeah, that's it.
Hmm.
That's the whole basis of the game.
Interesting. Yeah, that sounds like an interesting game for sure. I mean, I feel like it's a good, like, definitely a good game to stream because it causes that like the scary tense moments, and you can have some funny ones like your clips there. So that's cool that you got it. I'll definitely have to check out that game. And then, do you want to talk about some of your other games that you play? Like I know Stardew Valley. I've seen a lot of your content is based around Stardew Valley. What got you into
Yes,
that game?
Stardew Valley, it was actually another friend who got me into it. I remember when I first started, I wasn't into it because it's a farming simulator
Yeah,
and it focuses on friendship with NPCs. And like, this ain't really my kind of game.
yeah,
But it's one of those, it doesn't take long, you get addicted to it, and it's actually really good. Should I like explain the game or?
yeah. It sounds kind of like a game my sisters used to play a lot called Harvest Moon. Have you heard of that game?
Yep.
It's pretty much like that
Actually,
game.
actually, the guy who made Stardew Valley, I think his game name is Concerned Ape.
Okay.
Harvest Moon is actually his inspiration for that game.
Oh, makes sense.
It's been compared a lot to Animal Crossing. Pretty much you start off on a farm, you're given some seeds, basic tools, and you can like farm your way up to upgrade your farm, upgrade your tools, explore the map. You can also like go into the mines and mine for rocks. You can combat monsters. You can fish. You can ranch animals. Befriend NPCs. Eventually marry one of them. Um, it's actually really good. I know Concerned Ape plans to release a new update for the game because he's actually
Nice.
working on his next game, and so a lot of people, Stardew Valley fans, are actually looking forward to this update.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I know. I remember playing a little bit of Harvest Moon back in the day, and at first I was like, I wouldn't want to play that game. I started playing. I was like, hey, this is more fun than I gave it credit for. So I could definitely see
Yeah,
what you're talking about. How like at first you're like farming simulator, yeah, right. But it's like okay, it's more fun than you think it is.
yeah.
Perfect. So what other games are you playing? Terraria as well, right? What's that one about?
So that one's more like a sandbox.
Okay.
Imagine Minecraft but
Yep.
2D,
Okay.
and you can build, you can explore, spelunk. Of course, you can fight monsters, craft items. Imagine Minecraft 2D, but it's more focused on the fighting the monsters aspect and crafting items.
Right.
And actually, yeah, I mean, if you know Minecraft, you pretty much know Terraria.
Okay.
So awesome game though. That's probably one of my favorite games of all time.
Okay. Just because of the replayability and just like it's just like so open world. Is that why?
Yes. There's
Okay.
so much you can do. Each run is different, like just vastly different.
That's really cool. Yeah, the roguelike games like where like each run is different and you don't know what to expect. I feel like a lot of times it just increases the replayability. Like there's this one game I'm playing. Have you ever heard, I don't know if you ever heard of like 20XX or 30XX.
I've heard of it. I don't
Okay.
know what it is, but I
Okay.
recognize the name.
So it's a like a roguelike Mega Man game that like with like inspiration from Mega Man, and it's cool because you can play co-op with your friends as well. Definitely recommend checking it out. It does cost money to start, but it's like $15 or something like that. I think it was, and yeah, it's a really cool game because like each time you play, you get different like bosses like just generate differently. You can get different augments for your character. So it's a really cool take on Mega Man in my opinion. So
It is cool. Yeah, I mean, Mega Man was pretty good. I remember playing 2 and 3 back in the
okay.
day. Oh man, awesome games.
Did you play that on PC or where did you play those ones on?
I played those on. I know the second was on the original Nintendo.
Yep.
I think the third one was too. I can't remember. Um, but I actually recently replayed them on PC.
Okay.
I think Steam has them. So
Yeah. I remember playing. I can't remember which Mega Man it was. Like probably one of the very first ones on PC. And I wasn't that much of a PC gamer back then, but it was like that's how we had it. And I was like, yeah, this game is awesome. I don't think I ever beat that one either because it's pretty. It got pretty hard actually later on, but it's definitely a good game. Oh, it looks like Skittles Cotton Candy says hello. Hey
hello,
Skittles.
Skittles.
You know Skittles?
I do. She's
Oh,
actually a streamer that I collaborate with sometimes. She's a good friend of mine.
awesome. Well, thank you for
So
coming on, supporting Doll Skittles. Appreciate you having here. Yeah, man. So that's really cool. So you do a lot of. It seems like you do a lot of collaborations with other streamers. Do you feel like that helps you grow and just create that community?
it does because um, it's good networking, reaching out to like viewers that might see them but not me, and
Yep.
then vice versa. There's some viewers that only I have that they don't, but like they'll see their name, check out their channel as well. So it's really good networking. It slowly pushes like the boundary of like
Yep.
our social circle and stuff. So because you never know when like that one viewer is going to be the next loyal viewer or just next streamer. So it's really
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like building that community is super important for streaming, and that's the cool thing about the gaming community. I feel like is just like everyone's down. Most people are down to collaborate. Really friendly. So I've really been enjoying like doing this podcast and just getting to know more streamers that way. So um, you were playing. You mentioned another game that you played as well. What was it? Battle Witches or something like that?
Hammer Watch.
Hammer Watch. I don't know why I
Hammer
said Battle
Watch.
Witches.
I
Oh
mean,
man.
it's similar name, but no,
Okay.
Hammer Watch. It's like it's your dungeon crawler. It's
Okay.
not really roguelike because it's not randomly generated.
Right.
Every run, same floor, same setup, but it's actually still highly replayable. There's Hammer Watch. You have Heroes of Hammer Watch. Then you have Hammer Watch 2, which is the third game, but it's called Hammer Watch 2. Hammer Watch 2 is the one I've been playing recently. If I'm being honest, I'm not that into it. I
No.
prefer the other two. Um, Heroes of Hammer Watch is the one that's randomly generated, and it's very different from the first one, but it's still really good. This new
Okay.
one's just it's open world, which I like, but it's kind of complicated and hard, and it's just so different from the first two that I'm kind of not liking it.
Yeah, this adds like unnecessary mechanics into it. So
Yeah.
what's the game really about then? Is this like
Um.
fighting mostly?
So yeah, pretty much, and I could probably go through all three of them real quick if you
Okay.
want.
Yeah.
First one's Hammer Watch. You might hear some people call it Castle Hammer Watch. Pretty much, you are someone who's trying to escape a castle. The bridge goes out. This is in the very beginning, and the game is actually just you going through like the different floors of the castle simply to escape.
Okay.
But of course, you're fighting enemies along the way. You're upgrading your skills because you could choose different classes like Paladin, Ranger, Thief, Wizard. Of course, at the very end, spoiler alert, you fight a dragon. And after you fight the dragon, the castle falls all around you, and you got to escape quickly to go back to where you initially came from. For those of you who plan to play it, uh, definitely collect all of the planks. I won't say why, but collect all the planks. That's important. The second one is Heroes of Hammer Watch, and you start at a little hub in this town, and you can like upgrade, your character and also upgrade the town. And you go into the mines, and this is where it's more randomly generated and you eventually go up all the way to the tower. And another spoiler, you fight another dragon at the end, and that's pretty much you know, beating the game, saving the day, saving the town. The third game's interesting because it starts off where the first one ends. Like you actually see the, you know, the rubble of like stone where the castle used to be and the tail of the dragon that you fought in the first game. And then there's mentions of the second game where there was another group of heroes that fought the second dragon. But this third game is more where you venture out into, you know, into the world, which that aspect's cool. But there's just there's a lot of moving parts, and for other games this works amazing. For the Hammerwatch franchise, I feel like it's unnecessary, and I think it kind of hurts it.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty cool game. It almost sounds like Castle Crashers. You ever played that game?
I've streamed it. I love that game.
Is it similar to that kind of game or?
It's not.
Oh,
Castle
it's not.
Crashers is more of your 2D, just hack and slash.
Okay,
Hammerwatch would be your dungeon crawler. I mean, hack and slash still, but dungeon crawler,
right,
and
makes
it
sense.
has like that bird eye view.
Okay, so like kind of more like a Diablo and like Path of
Yes,
Exile. Okay,
exactly. Yeah,
all right,
it's like not straight above, but like angled.
right,
So yeah.
okay, makes sense. Yeah, I've actually been played a lot of I played a lot of Diablo like when it first like Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, Diablo 4. Kind of stopped playing that right away. Then Path of Exile. I don't know if you played that game, but that game's pretty fun for sure. I'll have to check out Hammer Watch. It sounds pretty interesting for sure. Um, and then Castle Crashers, I played that game as well. So you played a, I did see actually one of your I think things on Instagram, one of your clips. You were playing Castle Crashers. So you enjoyed that game then?
Oh yeah, that game. I played that one as soon as it came out on the 360. I think it was
Oh
the
yeah.
arcade,
Yep.
and I've beaten it with every single character. And I think I've beaten it twice on, I think it's called insane mode, where
Oh
it really
wow.
ups the difficulty. And yeah, that game is one I actually helped. I try not to brag here, but I actually helped edit the wiki for that game back in the day
Wow.
because I there were things because you know it was still brand new. People were still adding stuff to it, and so I was one of those. I was adding to it, and I was actually editing like incorrect information and stuff like that. So yeah, that game is just so much fun. It's a blast.
Yeah. I actually I think I played that one at least 3 or 4 times like through. It's definitely like it had funny moments, it had some like good songs, like it was just a good game to just jump around and hack and slash. Like almost reminded me like a little bit like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games back in the day.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about?
Turtles in Time. Yep,
Oh yeah, those were some good games. So you obviously played some of those ones as well.
I have. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So did you ever play like get into Pokemon? Anything like that?
You know, surprisingly, no.
No?
Like
Okay.
I know enough about it to carry on like a conversation, but like growing up, I was
Mhm.
kind of sheltered, and that was something my mom wouldn't let me play. But I remember, I think I was in third grade. A lot of the kids were trading cards,
Yep.
and after you know your EOG, your end of grade test, you had 2 or 3 days of just you had to be at school, but that was it. And that's what everyone was doing throughout school was just trading cards. So I never got to participate in that. I never really played any of the games. I thought about trying out the new one,
Yeah.
but I guess that's something I missed out on. And I have so much other, you know, so many other games I'm looking forward to that I'll just play those. But for what it sounds like, Pokemon's amazing. I mean, it's a huge, just medium. So
It's definitely a cool game. I'd recommend like if you're going to get into it, do some like emulators on your computer and go back and play some old ones. Or like the cool thing I think right now about Pokemon is that like the modding community is pretty hardcore, and like some of the fan made games are honestly better than any of the games that actual like
oh
Poke Freak
wow.
has come out with. Like there's one where you can like combine different Pokemon together, and it's like Pokemon Infinite Fusion. I was just like blown away by that game. I was like, "Are you serious? Combining Pokemon? That's like the coolest thing you could ever do." So I was blown away by that. But that's why I really like the modding community. And I know you mentioned like modding for Lethal Company and getting into that. Um, have you played any other games that do mod support?
Well, I played a lot of games. Like, I
Yep.
mean, Skyrim's one,
Yep.
Fallout. Uh, one of the games that I started gaming hardcore was Gmod. So
Okay.
Gary's
Oh yeah,
mod, and
Gary's
that's
mod.
where it's you're only playing the mod versions of like certain things and certain like aspects of the games and stuff. And um, as for making mods, I never really made any myself, but I
Mhm.
thought about it. But just playing the mods, you're right. Like some of the mods are better than the games themselves.
Yeah, it's amazing how much time people put into like making the mods. I'm blown away. Wasn't Gary's mod where Counter Strike came from originally?
Yep,
Yep.
Counter-Strike and Half-Life.
Oh yeah.
Gmod came from that because I think the guy you see in Half-Life 2 a few times, especially at the end, I think he's just referenced as G-Man, and he's one of those guys that you don't really know much about. And I think G-Mod is kind of I think it's actually based off the guy who started the first mod in that like
Yep.
series. But some people actually say that it's based off of this guy you see in Half-Life 2, G for Gary or whatever. So,
Interesting. Yeah, man. I've been playing a decent amount of Counter Strike, and I remember playing Half Life and like Half Life Two. So those games were just classic games for sure. Like so much fun out of that. I actually never played Gary's mod, surprisingly, but that's cool that you like played way back then. And then you also mentioned you were playing some other games there, Skyrim, Fallout, obviously some fantastic games. So you put a lot of times in, a lot like those are a lot of really replayable games. So you played them a decent amount, I'm sure. Correct?
oh yeah, I played, man, if we're talking about hours, my first playthrough of Skyrim was over 300.
Oh wow.
And I've beaten it at least three times because, like, one time I chose the Stormcloaks, another run I chose, the Imperials.
Right.
One run I was a companion, so a werewolf. Another one I was a vampire. And it was just, I'm trying out different stuff. And then the mods, like, are just some of them are quality life mods. For
Yeah.
example, when you go into a town, instead of it having to load, it's already loaded for you. You just
Yeah.
walk in. And then there's one where I think it's Randy Savage as Alduin from the very beginning, and you hear him go, "Oh yeah," just flying around, just stupid stuff like that.
That's funny. Yeah, some of the mods on there are crazy. I think it was like Thomas the Train or something was
Yep,
going
that's
around.
another one I looked at. Yeah,
Oh man, that's another funny thing about the modding community. You just gotta like do things in the game you never thought would happen. You're just gonna mess around with that. That's really cool. Okay, so as far as like single player games where you're not doing a multiplayer, what do you consider like one of your favorite games of all time? Single player games,
oh man,
or top
the
three if
la
you can't choose.
man, that's hard. Well, my favorite game of all time is Super Metroid on the
Okay.
Super Nintendo, and so that'll be my single player game. The Last of Us was also just
Yeah.
amazing. Um, I guess I could say Skyrim and Fallout as well, specifically Fallout New Vegas.
Okay.
Fallout 3 was good too, but I do prefer New Vegas. Man, there's so many. Yeah, that's off the top of my head right now, that's what I can think of.
Yeah, there's definitely some good games for sure. I actually never played too much of the Metroid. You said Metroid Prime, is that which one was?
Super Metroid.
Super Metroid. I'll have to maybe get an emulator for that and go back and play it. I actually never actually played too much of it, honestly. But most of my experience exposure to Metroid was through Super Smash Bros. So
Yep.
what drew you why is that one of your favorite games of all time?
That game, it makes you think out of the
Okay.
box or outside of the box, and it also offers more than you think. I think GoldenEye 007 on the 64 was another one where,
Yep.
you had to actually look at your arsenal of items and stuff and use them to your advantage. Super Metroid's the same way, and it also has an emotional ending that it's like, I'm not one to really, cry at games, but it brought me to tears a little bit. So,
Nice, man. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that sounds like a cool game for sure. Then you mentioned 007. Definitely lots of time spent playing that game and getting mad
yeah.
at Odd Job.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a good game for sure. So, and then you mentioned New Vegas was your favorite of the Fallout's. Why New Vegas?
New Vegas kind of it almost refined three, or like it was like polished. Like three was good. If people ask me what is the best or Fallout game to play that represents the franchise, I'd say three. But if they ask me what's the best game, just period, I say New Vegas. So like in the very beginning, when you choose, all the positive stuff, a negative comes with it. I thought that was pretty good. Three doesn't do that. Also, New Vegas just simply had, for example, I think the merchants can actually run out of items. If I'm correct, I don't think three had that, so it was more realistic. And it really made you strategize a little bit more. Um, New Vegas just simply had more to it. And the fact that it was just a spin-off and it wasn't even made by Bethesda. It was made by another company, and Bethesda helped, publish it.
Right.
It's just kind of mind-blowing. Because like you said, like it was like the smaller company that kind of did better than what the big company did with Fallout 3.
Actually, I never knew that. I played both, but I never knew that a different company made it. So that's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting how that happens. Huh? Like the smaller companies kind of like just think outside the box, like, hey, this is actually what this game needs, and then bring it to it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. So, and I mean, I agree with you for the most part. Like New Vegas did have some really cool like tweaks to it compared to three. I mean, both games were obviously amazing games. Um, okay, so then your Fallout, and then multiplayer games. Probably the top game. You already mentioned that already. Um, so, any other games you want to talk about, or any other parts of your gaming journey you can think about? Any funny gaming moments?
Um, see. Well, I mean, you've actually mentioned
Yeah.
the latest stream of Lethal Company. See other funny moments. Stardew Valley actually
Okay.
surprisingly has a lot of funny moments because like there's a player that I play with quite a bit, and she constantly is checking the trash cans in the game,
Right.
and it'll let me know if she's caught by an NPC checking the trash. And so I'll be playing, I'll be in a whole nother map from her, right? But of course, we're verbally chatting through Discord, so I can hear her. And then in the bottom left, I'll see this message pop up. Plague of Kitties, that's her name, was caught, digging in the trash by so and so. And then that just sparks some interesting conversations. And
That's
then
funny.
Stardew Valley is one of those games where you can talk about anything else while playing and just, I'd say just conversation wise, the
Yeah.
conversations that pop up, you know. Like it's interesting how as you're playing, you come up with these phrases
Yeah.
and it impresses yourself. So you start using them like more and more because it's just hilarious. I'd say most of the stuff that I've said, like when in doubt, shout them out. That came from Stardew Valley. So like whenever I have someone come in my stream, if they are another streamer, I try to give them a shout out. I think I've done the same with you
Yeah, you
actually.
have. Yeah.
And I think I was playing Stardew Valley and I started kind of almost making like not a song with it, but made up the phrase when in doubt, shout them out. So now that's kind of stuck. Um, there's some other phrases, but I can't think of right now. But yeah, Stardew Valley, just not the game itself, but the conversations that have happened during playing that game.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's like, I mean, it's more like laid back game where you can have those kind of conversations, right? Like you're not so focusedly like hardcore focused intense that you kind of get like zoned out and miss those conversations. So that's definitely a cool game to stream for them, for sure. Do you have any plans for like future games that you have like your eye on that you're like, all right, I like I know Lethal Company was probably one of them. Any other future games that you're like, okay, I've had my eye on this. I'm thinking about possibly jumping in.
Um, and I mean, the answer is yes. There's so many. Like I do know, like whenever the new GTA 6 comes out, I'll probably stream that.
Yep.
And the new Elder Scrolls 6, which I know that's probably another 5 or 10 years from now, I'll probably stream that. Um, as for anything recent or like near soon, not really. I kind of let my community, I don't necessarily let them choose for me, but I kind of let them guide, what games for me to play next. And then it's also just what I'm feeling at the moment.
Right. Makes sense. Okay. Yeah. I mean, obviously, GTA 5 or 6 and Elder Scrolls 6 are going to be like awesome games. I'm excited to play those as well. Super hyped up. At least I hope they're awesome games. I mean, at this
Yeah,
point, they probably got to be. Otherwise, it's going to be some problems. So I hope they delay it if they need to make it actually a good game, right?
yeah, I agree.
Because like I feel like there's a lot of games that are released nowadays. They're just like definitely could have been delayed, so they were just more polished. So, what has drawn you to indie games specifically compared to other games?
Um, so I think it started with Terraria. Is just there's so much more you can do in that game compared to like Call of Duty.
Right.
I love Call of Duty, but it's roughly the same thing over and over again. While Terraria, there's a lot of just leeway for almost anything. And I've noticed the communities that look out for indie games or go out of their way to watch them. They tend to be more similar to me than like people who play COD.
Right.
Like I said, nothing against them, but I just feel more at home with the 2D retro looking indie games. They're like brand new, but they look like they came out 20 years ago, which I guess is also that nostalgia factor that I love too.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, I feel like the indie games definitely bring back a lot of nostalgia and just like supporting the smaller game developers. Like that's actually why I actually and I've played a decent amount of indie games too. Um, Main one is going to be the 30xx one I was talking about, or 20xx. But there's actually a cool game that I've also been enjoying. Trying to get more people to jump on the wagon because it's pretty fun to stream too. Have you ever heard of Pummel Party?
I have not. No.
So have you ever played Mario Party?
Yes.
It's essentially Mario Party, but like a computer version. And it's a little more not PG, right? Like you can like pretty much kill the other person, take like all their keys and stuff, and they have to restart at the beginning. It's just like an interest. Like it's pretty much it's pretty much Mario Party, but it's a pretty fun game just to mess around with. Like I always had a lot of fun with Mario Party. It's like yeah, now I can play with people online. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
it's a cool game. But yeah, I definitely had a lot of fun with some indie games for sure. Uh, Actually, I think I've played a game that's like Terraria, Starbound. I think it's called possibly. You played that one?
Yeah. I have that. That one is like people that are more into computers. I've noticed to me more for Starbound than Terraria. Actually, the guy I play Lethal Company with, he's the one who recommends Starbound over Terraria, and it's like the sci-fi version of Terraria almost.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So, are you playing on PC or are you playing on a console?
I'm playing on PC.
Okay, perfect. And then do you? Who's the handsome fellow on the left? Oh, Epstein Slayer says, "What's up?"
Oh, Epstein, how's it going? Hope you're doing good.
Thank you for coming, supporting, Dull, and coming to the podcast. Yeah, man, that's awesome. So, okay, so you were playing Terraria because you just enjoy that more. Do you play with mouse and keyboard for most of these games, or do you use controller sometimes?
Usually mouse and keyboard. I would say, I think there's only two games on PC where I've swapped for a controller. That's actually Castle Crashers
Okay, yep.
and Battle Block Theater, made by the same company as Castle Crashers,
Okay,
Behemoth, I think. Yeah.
yeah. I feel like, yeah, most of the time I'm mouse board, keyboard, and mouse too, but like 30xx, like those kind of games, I feel like are just kind of nice to have a, controller for those ones, right? Or like fighting games or like things like that. So, and then I saw you playing some Fortnite as well, jumping on the Fortnite wagon. Do you enjoy Fortnite?
I I do now.
Okay.
I think the latest, I don't know if it's season or chapter, because I don't really keep up with Fortnite that much, but whatever's happening right now, I'm actually really enjoying. The reason why I kind of hopped on Fortnite is most of the people I play with, it's only Fortnite.
Yep.
Of course, I played the zero build. Once you had to build into it, I'm gonna go to something else.
Me
I
too.
hate when I shoot at someone and they just put up a wall, and I'm like, man,
Man, I felt the same. I haven't played much Fortnite. I played like maybe 3 matches of it, and I played I think building the first time. And I was like, what? Like this guy's just building nonstop. Like this is how is this fun?
yeah, they just build a tower and just go up it. I'm just watching them, and it's like
What?
I can't do anything.
Yeah.
I'll just shoot at the base and make them fall.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. I'm much more about the non-build too. If I do play, actually, I haven't played the new season yet. So what made you like the new season more than the other season or previous
I
ones?
feel like I feel like the guns are a little better.
Okay.
And let's see. Like I said, I stick with zero build.
Hmm.
And the fact there's bosses now that when you kill them, you get like these medallions to help out with your shield. There's also a negative. For example, now you have a circle around your location. Not precise on you, but you're always gonna be in this circle that other players can see.
Oh.
And I know a lot of people were upset about the moving mechanics. I think they actually helped the game. Um, but that's really all I have because the game hasn't changed that much,
Yeah.
but I'm enjoying it more. I don't know if I just finally hit that part where I'm like, I've accepted the game now.
Yep.
It's possible that the season's actually worse, but I now accept it. So I don't know.
Well, hopefully not. I mean, I've heard most people say they like the new guns, like the new snipers and stuff, a lot more. So,
Oh, you can
uh,
mod weapons now too. I forgot about that. I do like that.
okay, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool for sure. Epstein Slayer says FF16, so Final Fantasy 16 is fire. Do you play Final Fantasy?
I have not, but I've been meaning to.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of good things about 16. And then a good friend of mine plays 14 online. He swears to that one. I've only played 6, 7, and 10. 6 was underrated. 7, the hype you hear about it is worth it. 10's overrated. But I'm not really a turn-based guy. So
Yeah. Yeah, turn-based Pokemon, like games like that. So
okay.
makes sense why you haven't gotten too much into Pokemon either. Uh, uh yeah, and then Baldur's Gate 3 turn-based as well. I haven't got too much in that either. Dullblend is a friend in real life, super good dude. I've seen says
Uh,
is giving the compliments.
yeah, yeah, he was actually when I mentioned how I was in school for general automotive, he was in actually I think he's still in there right now. He's about to
Nice.
graduate himself. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome dude.
That's really cool. Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks. You're a good friend for coming to support him. Uh, thanks for the chats as well. Appreciate that. And yeah, there's definitely some good conversations we had. I know you mentioned at the beginning that you had faced some like procrastination and stuff like that. Do you still face some of that right now? And like, how do you get over that? Like procrastinating streaming or anything like that, or making the content? Because I know sometimes making the content, like the taking all the clips and editing the videos, is not super ideal, right?
Yeah. I'd say like now what I do, I still face it every now and then, but
Yep.
I just do something,
Yep.
and then there's moments where I actually get in the mood to do stuff, and that's when I really take advantage of it.
Oh yeah.
I get like so much done during that moment. But all the other moments, I just make sure I'm doing something that actually, matters. Something that'll, help, my streams or whatever the case may be. But no, I still every now and then I'll still be like, I don't want to do anything, or I know I got to do this, but I don't feel like it. But I
Yeah.
just make because 10, 15, 20 years ago, I would just stay, sit down, just be like, yeah, whatever, I don't know. And be like, I don't know why I'm bored. But now I just make sure I'm just doing something.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's really good advice for people out there, right? Just get out and do it. Actually, I heard a cool tip. There's this person named Mel Robbins, and she talks about like the 5 second rule, where if you are like having the procrastination coming up and you just don't want to do anything, just count down from five down to one, five, four, three, two, one, and imagine yourself as a rocket and just get up and just go do the thing, right? So
I like that.
yeah, just
Okay.
like just clear out your head, just go and do that thing. So I feel like once you start, like you're gonna get things done, right? And even if you just get a little bit done, it's gonna be better than nothing. So I definitely like that mindset you have there, and that's a great tip for continuing to do that. Epstein Slayer says he's gonna use that, and Skittles says his streams are always family friendly, keeping it PG. I love it.
Yeah, I try to like limit cussing and
Yep.
anything sexual, which I know Twitch allows a lot of that,
Yep.
but I try to keep it family friendly because yeah, there's the people who cuss all the time. They can come in and still enjoy it, and the people who don't like cussing at all, they can, try to make sure everyone can enjoy it. So
Definitely. Yeah, I try to keep cursing at a minimum too. I feel like sometimes with multiplayer games, it's kind of hard to avoid, right? People
yeah,
are like, you hear someone else talk, it's like, just, okay, this guy's dropped. I gotta mute this guy. I gotta mute this guy.
yeah,
But you do what you can for sure. And I feel like yeah, it's a good idea to keep it more family friendly because like, especially with the internet nowadays, you never know how young the people are coming on to watch your stream, right? And we're
yeah.
like when you're in a position where you are streaming and putting that content out for people, you're essentially a role model for some people. So it's awesome that you're thinking about that. Love it. Um, so, do you have any tips out there for streamers who are thinking about possibly starting, or who are maybe not doing? Only have one or two people watching them, and they're struggling. As far as like, because I know you're doing pretty well. How like would you have any advice for them?
Yeah, I would say just do it because let's say you're worried I'll only have, one viewer or zero viewers and you don't do it till a year later. That's a year's time that you didn't stream.
Yep.
And that's a year's worth of content you could put out. Even if you only have one viewer and you never even get affiliated, again, that's still better than not doing it at all. And there's a lot of streamers I've met that we started streaming at the same time and like we grew together and then
Mhm.
something in life happened, which I am, you can't stop that, like if there's a death in the family or something, or you just got laid off from your job.
Mhm.
I definitely understand that. But there's a lot of people that you can tell that they're in it just to make money. So I would
Yeah.
say if you plan to start streaming, do it as a hobby. Do
Yeah.
not do it as a job. Like if you're thinking I'm gonna start making money right away, you're not gonna make it.
Hmm.
And for those who started streaming but they're thinking about quitting, I that is the worst thing you can do is to stop streaming. Now here's another tip, but it's kind of contradicting what I just said, where also only stream if you feel like it. If you're not enjoying it, your audience ain't going to enjoy it either.
Yeah.
But that's only if you're doing pretty good, you've been streaming for a while. If it's where you've been streaming and you're down, like no one's watching me, the worst thing you can do is stop streaming. Just keep it up because it will eventually happen. Like theoretically, the odds at some point will hit you. It just hasn't hit you yet. But yeah, the worst thing you can do is stop streaming. So just keep it up.
Yeah. I mean, giving up and just not going to get you anywhere, right? You never know where you're going to get if you just give up. And I feel like, how much do you feel like posting on social media helps with building and your following? Do you feel like it has helped you?
It's helped a little bit,
Hmm.
but like I feel like the majority of, let's say based off like the followers I've gotten was mainly just from Twitch.
Okay.
People, exploring different streamers. I have had some people come in where when I get a new person come in, I'll ask them, hey, how are you doing? How was your day? And then I'll ask them, how did you find my channel? Every now and then someone will be like, oh, I found you through Instagram
Oh,
or I
nice.
found you through, Twitter or TikTok, but that is pretty rare. So I
Okay.
would say social media for the most part hasn't helped me,
Mhm.
but it definitely hasn't hurt me. I'm
Yeah.
again going off of the advice I gave you a few
Right.
minutes ago. I'm still going to keep that up too.
Oh yeah,
So yeah.
definitely. And I feel like you streaming like indie games is like better for discoverability, right? Because I've heard like, I mean, if you look at like people who stream Fortnite, there's thousands of people streaming Fortnite, and a lot of them have like three or four viewers, and then there's some people with like 100,000 or like a crazy amount. So it's gonna be harder for people to find you because there's just so many people to stream through. But at least I was listening to some people like talk about like tips for it as well, and like they said like, well, if you stream some of the big games, you're gonna have to focus a lot on social media to try to get your draw in. But I feel like for you, since you're doing like the indie games, you've actually got a lot more discoverability on Twitch, which is really cool. It's cool to hear that. Um, and so you're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere else? Missed?
Um,
Twitch, obviously.
Give me a minute. I could look it up. There's so many. You might have already actually mentioned all of them.
If I remember the list
Um,
you sent me, I think that was all of them.
yeah, I think you said Twitter, TikTok, Instagram,
Yep.
obviously Twitch, YouTube, and Discord.
Oh, YouTube. Okay, Discord, right? And then on all of them, it's just dull blend.
It's just I try to make sure dullblend that's all it
Awesome.
is.
Makes it
So
easy.
like no numbers or symbols afterward or
Yep.
anything. So
Dull blend. Yeah. Make sure everyone who's listening, who's not already following him, make sure you guys shoot him a follow. Check out his content. He does have some really cool content. And some funny moments for sure. Like I've checked a couple of streams and I've had some laughs as well. So yeah, it's been a really pleasure having you on the podcast, man. It's been really cool. Do you have anything else you want to talk about on the podcast? You were thinking about talking about?
actually there's one more
Okay,
thing. Like
yeah.
I would say probably the one thing I didn't realize I would be doing as a streamer,
Mhm.
and it's possible streamers don't really do this anyway, or they do and they just don't mention it, is I'm kind of a streamer even off stream, I've noticed.
Okay,
So like whenever I end the stream, if I raid someone, I'm staying in their streams. Sometimes when I'm streaming, I'm lurking for like 7 to 10 other streamers at the same time.
yeah,
If my stream tends to like, internet wise mess up, I do have to sacrifice my lurks. But like the biggest thing I've noticed is like when I'm not streaming, let's say there's a day I'm not streaming at all, I'll get a message from a viewer, through Discord saying, "Hey man, can you talk?" And half the time I can't because I actually am busy, but other half I can. And so I talk with them for a few minutes and they'll tell me about something that they're going through, like, hardship or something.
right.
And, I try to, be there for them. Even though I can't do anything, I try to at least be in an ear, to listen.
Mhm.
And so that's something else I would say, like, that I wouldn't have never expected, to do as a streamer.
That's awesome.
And I guess that's something else, like if you are planning to stream and you're not in it for the money, you're in it to actually make friends and make a community. That's something like I would tell you to expect. You'll get messages from people, and some of them are rough messages.
Yep.
Like I've had people tell me, like I had one guy come in actually in a stream tell me he just found his dad dead that morning in his bed. You
Wow.
know, and it's one of those things where I don't really know what to say, and so I try to chat with him. Once I finish the stream, and course, one of those things that could be he's lying. He's just trying to get, attention, but at the same time, I don't know. So I treat it all
Yeah,
serious.
definitely.
And so that's something I did just want to mention.
Hmm.
Not really for any reason, but like probably the most thing that I wasn't expecting
Yeah.
when I started this.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing to talk about too, because I feel like there is a lot of people out there who are going through rough times, and you know, watching other streamers or just connecting with people online is a way that they're able to find that comfort. So that's awesome that you take that time to talk to them, and um, I think to your point as well is just like building that community is really what you're talking about. Like that, I feel like that's also helped you grow, right? On top of just like going on Twitch and social media, but connecting with people. Because yeah, I've seen you multiple times come to my stream and say, "Oh, hey, what's up?" and lurk, and then I was like, "Oh man,
Yeah.
you definitely got to connect with this guy," and then come check out your stream. And so, I definitely got to start doing that a little bit more. I've been trying to do it, or I've been doing it more, but I can definitely step it a notch, like you're talking about, like 6 or 7, and um, show people some support. I find I'm not usually online a lot of times when other people are streaming, so that's the
Yeah.
only other problem. Uh, and then we got some other messages from Epstein saying, "Gotta love a dose of dull blend." And then we got Real World, a good guy, and a man I consider a brother.
Oh,
And Skittle Con Candy, Dull is always there for us. So sounds like you are a little like center knot that's holding some people together and creating a cool community. So that's really awesome.
I'm really blessed with the community that I have. And I hate saying that it's my community or that I have it because
Right,
I'm just one of them amongst
right.
that group. So,
Yeah, you're building the community. Yeah, that's really cool, man. That's really awesome, and I'm glad you'll come on the podcast and we can have this conversation just about games and our passions. And I remember one other thing I want to talk to you about. So it's one of your passions, climbing 14ers.
yes. So actually, I think the picture that was in your promotion was
Yep.
I was climbing Mount Princeton
Okay.
and I had already got to the top and I was actually on my way down and I got in the saddle of Princeton and I think it's Tigger Peak.
Mhm.
And in the picture, I have Mountain Terror, another 14er behind me. Um, yeah, as you know, I live in Colorado, and so ever since I was young, when I first saw like a picture of the Rocky Mountains, I'm like, I'm gonna climb those one day. And I guess it's one of the goals that I've actually fulfilled, like a long-term
Yep.
goal. So I'm really proud of that. I think there's 58 14ers in Colorado. I've climbed, I think, 36 of them now.
Nice.
And I
Wow.
try to do, a certain amount every summer. I'm by no means a professional, but I've taken some people there, like new people, kind of showing like one of the easier ones, this is how it is. But no, I absolutely love it. I'm actually itching for it right now.
Yeah.
The winters suck because like I'm not a cold hiker guy.
Yeah.
I have to do it when it's summer because that's even in the summer they can still pack snow.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I lived in Colorado as well. I actually never did any 14ers, surprisingly, but I know like it takes a decent amount of like stamina and endurance to do them. So have you had to like kind of get yourself ready for that? Like before you did the first one, did you like train a little bit, or what did that look like?
So I think my first one was Mount Bierstadt.
Okay.
It's one of the easier ones, and from there I kind of realized, all right, I need to get in shape, and that was an easy one too.
Yeah.
And I just kind of try to stay in shape ever since I got out of the army. And so I'm definitely not fit, but I'm not, out of shape either. I'm in the
Yep.
middle. I guess this is some other advice. Uh, not to hold you here, but
No, you're
I
good.
try to walk a few times a week.
Uh-huh.
Where I live, there's a little walkway that I do, and I do like some push-ups, sit-ups every day. I mean, I'm definitely not a gym rat. I don't go to the gym or
Mhm.
anything. I try to drink water every day. Just pretty simple stuff. And then this by this time, like in the summer, there's another trail I'll do that is like my trainer trail. It's not a 14er, but it's a really good trail to train. I'll do that a few times, and then from there I'll figure out, okay, I think I'm good now. And then I'll go on my first 14er, and sometimes I have to do repeats of the easier ones first, for the later years. But yeah, I've actually had to. You're right. It takes some stamina.
Yeah.
I don't. My knees aren't the best, so I'm having to invest in like some knee braces. I
Okay.
pop some ibuprofen like every 4 hours.
Oh wow.
Um, I don't drink like any soda or anything
Mhm.
like 1, 2, or 3 days in advance. Like I'm really prepping for it.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense. Yeah, and just staying like I feel like that's a big thing that helps with just like streaming and just life in general, right? Like just staying fit. Like you don't have to be going to the gym every single day to stay fit, right? You could just do some push-ups here and there, some sit-ups, some jumping jacks, right? Just move your body. Definitely super important. So that's awesome that you did that, and I'm a big proponent of that as well, right? Like I don't actually go to the gym, but I do have like a pull-up bar and do some weights at my home and do some push-ups and that kind of stuff. And I love hiking. Actually, that's actually mention like the snowy winter and how you don't get out very often. That's part of the reason why I moved to South Carolina, because I was like, all right, like I love the snow probably for a couple of days. And I'm like, okay, I'm done with the snow. I want the warmth again.
Yeah.
And if it snows down here, it's like a couple inches, and then people freak out, and then it melts.
Yeah.
So
The town
like,
shuts down
yeah,
everything. Yeah.
it's pretty funny. But yeah, so I do some hiking in like the Smoky Mountains. It's pretty beautiful down here. So definitely recommend if you're ever down in the South, go to the Smoky Mountains, do some hiking down there. You'll love it as well. Definitely much different than the Rocky Mountains, gotta say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool, man. You're not holding me up at all for the conversation. So definitely, if you have more to talk about, feel free. But yeah, I really dig that you're getting into mountain climbing, or sorry, 14ers. Do you do anything else with your free time besides like streaming and?
I would say D&D, Dungeons and
Oh
Dragons,
yeah,
actually.
okay.
I picked that up actually a year and a half ago. And that takes up it's an investment. It takes up a lot of time,
Hmm.
but it is so worth it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people playing that and heard people talk about it. Definitely seems like a fun experience, but I don't know if I'd have the time at the moment for it. You
It
know,
does take a lot of time,
yeah,
yeah.
trying to balance like my son and then streaming and then works. It's a lot. So, um, but that's awesome, man. So, what are you usually the dungeon master or not the dungeon master?
So I've done and I'm doing well, okay. I'm doing both right now. So there's one campaign where I'm just playing. There's a second campaign where I'm also just playing, but I helped the DM out in the beginning
Hmm.
because he wanted to start DMing himself, and he's pretty good on his own now. Third campaign, I'm actually co-DMing, but it's like a mini campaign.
Okay.
It's like a experimental campaign. And then there's another group that I'm going to do what I did with the second group, DM the first few sessions to kind of show the new DM how it works. And once she picks it up, I'll probably leave. Unless I have a lot more time, because time might open up here for me soon, then I might stay as a player.
Right.
Then there's another, actually, it's the same group with the second and third one. He's going to start a new campaign, and I might be part of that. So yeah, there's even one campaign takes so much time, and
Yeah.
I'm in uh two right now.
Right.
Actually, no, three right now, possibly a fourth one. So yeah.
Wow, that's definitely a lot. And so you must be pretty familiar with DMing then if you're showing people the ropes.
Yeah, I mean I definitely don't know everything because
Hmm.
D&D just has so much to it that I don't know anyone who does.
Right.
But yeah, I'm confident and comfortable enough to like DM first to train the new DM.
That's
So
cool. Yeah, definitely, I feel like the groups need that, right? Someone has to learn how to do it from someone else. So that's cool that you're willing to do that. And then actually, I did have one other thing to talk about. So for your streams, what's your main goal with it? Are you trying to take it full time? Is that your ultimate
um
plan?
I want to do that. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm kind of doing it right now. But yeah,
Nice.
I want to do it full time. I love it. Even if I, you know, like from now on didn't make any money from it, I'm gonna keep this up. I really enjoy it. It's really cool where later, earlier today, I'm like, what am I streaming today? If I am, what am I streaming? And then I'm like, I wonder who's going to come in, and then
Hmm.
there's the regulars that come in. I'm excited to see them, their chat pop up. And then I have a very interactive stream where you can do sound alerts. I have a lot of fart noises that people love, and they'll just play them throughout my stream. And yeah, it's just a blast. It's never, I'd say the only times I have a bad stream is when my internet goes out.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think I was on one of your streams and your like voice was cutting in and out. And I was like, oh man.
yeah.
But yeah, it happens. I know one of my streams, I was playing like streaming Diablo 4, and it just like my computer just like started getting super glitchy. It didn't like me streaming
Uh,
Diablo 4, and it just like, yeah, I can't stream this game anymore. It's not gonna be good for my stream. So, um, but yeah, that's funny. So I mean, I feel like that always happens. I've been muted a couple of times on my stream at the beginning. It's like
yeah.
something we all learn different parts of it, right? Have different the learning process for sure. So awesome. Well then, everyone, I do appreciate you guys all coming to support dullblend here. It's been a real pleasure talking with you, dullblend. We'll have to probably maybe do part 2 in the future here and have you back on. We could talk more. And yeah, just super grateful. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to part two.
All right, everyone. Hope you guys all have a good night. My name is Tyner, the Mind Hacker, and this is the Unleash the Here Within podcast. Make sure you guys shoot me a follow down below if you guys are interested. Make sure you guys hit me up so you guys can come on the podcast. We can do an interview with you guys as well. All right. Have a good night.